I still remember the sound of that gavel. It echoed through the whole courtroom like a gunshot. The judge's voice was steady final. This court finds the defendant airline guilty of discrimination. My hand was locked tight around my son's. He was just 9 small in stature, but bigger in courage than most grown men I've met in my life. And as the courtroom erupted, I thought back to how it all began. One flight, one seat, one man who thought we didn't belong. We were rushing through the terminal that morning in Charlotte. I had my carry-on in one hand, my son Marcus in the other. It wasn't just any trip. I was a neurosurgeon heading to New York to present research that had taken me a decade to finish. If the presentation went well, it could mean funding to change lives. And for once, I'd splurged. First class. I wanted Marcus and me to be comfortable, maybe even enjoy the ride. Marcus wasn't like other kids. While most kids his age were glued to video games, he was clutching this thick aviation law book he'd found in an airport shop. He had this mind, almost scary smart. Could remember entire pages after reading them once. But I didn't think that would matter today. I thought we'd just board relax and get ready for my big moment. We got to the gate early, joined the first-class boarding line. The gate agent polished smile for the folks ahead of us, looked at our tickets, and her face shifted like she'd just smelled something sour. "I think you're in the wrong line," she said, not even looking at our seats. "No, ma'am," I said, holding up the tickets. "Seats 2A and 2B first class." She studied them like they were forged documents. 2 minutes passed while she waved other passengers through with barely a glance. Marcus was watching everything, her body language, how quick she was with others, how slow with us. I could feel him filing it away in that steel trap memory of his. Finally, she handed the tickets back. "You can board. No apology." We settled into our seats, and for a moment it felt okay. Then a shadow fell over us. A tall man in an expensive suit stood there frowning like we'd taken his spot in church. "You're in my seat," he said flatly. "No, sir," I answered calmly. "We're in 2A and 2B. Here's my boarding pass." He didn't even look at it. "I always sit here. I'm a diamond member." Before I could respond, the flight attendant from the gate, now wearing a name badge that said Lynn, appeared. "Ma'am, maybe you misread your ticket," she said. I held the pass out again. "No misreading. These are our seats." She didn't check his ticket at all. Just told me the supervisor would sort it out. A few minutes later, the head attendant came over and said, "We'll need you to move to accommodate this passenger." "On what grounds?" I asked. My voice was steady, but my stomach was burning. "If you don't comply," he said, "security will have to remove you." Marcus quietly reached for my phone and turned on the recorder. Then in that clear, unwavering voice of his, he said, "Under federal aviation regulations, no passenger with a confirmed seat can be removed unless the flight is overbooked, which it's not. And Title VI of the Civil Rights Act prohibits exactly what's happening right now." The whole cabin went still. People started filming. Even the man in the suit shifted uncomfortably. But the crew doubled down, calling airport police. When the officers came, Marcus spoke to them directly. "Sir, my mom and I have been verified multiple times. Other passengers didn't get this scrutiny. That's discrimination." A Harvard law professor sitting nearby stood up. "He's right. I've been watching the whole time. This is appalling." The captain finally came out, took one look at the situation, and told the man in the suit to take another seat. It should have ended there, but I could feel the heat of that man's glare the rest of the flight. They made sure we felt it. Meals skipped us, drinks delayed. At one point, a water glass accidentally spilled all over my presentation notes. I caught a crew member muttering to another, "She should be grateful we didn't put her in cargo." Marcus heard it too. His hands were shaking, but not from fear. He was furious. When we landed, I thought the nightmare was over. I was wrong. Security met us at the gate saying I'd been accused of threatening another passenger. The accuser, the same man from before. They separated me from Marcus. He was alone in a cold room for over half an hour until a lawyer, a friend of the Harvard professor, came in to get him. By then, Marcus had already told the agents they needed a warrant to take my phone. That night, in a hotel room littered with my damp presentation notes, we decided we weren't just going to let this go. With our lawyer and the professor, we filed a lawsuit against the airline and the man in the suit, whose name turned out to be Charles Keating, a pharmaceutical exec with a $30 million contract supplying the airline. The weeks after were brutal. Smear articles popped up online. I was put on leave from the hospital. Colleagues stopped calling. We even got vandalized at home, slurs spray painted across our door. Then the airline offered us $2 million to settle quietly. I was exhausted. I thought about taking it. But Marcus looked me dead in the eye and said, "If we take it, nothing changes. They'll just keep doing it." So we pressed on. And when the airline tried to block Marcus from testifying, claimed he was too young, the judge met with him privately. 20 minutes later, he ruled Marcus extraordinarily qualified to testify. The trial was a circus. Marcus sat in the witness stand, his feet barely touching the floor, and dismantled the airline's defense piece by piece. He cited timestamps, quoted exact phrases, and even introduced evidence the defense had missed text messages between Keating and the flight attendant arranging special handling for him. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on every count. $12 million in damages for us, $48 million in punitive damages to send a message. In the months after the Department of Transportation rolled out new rules, what they called the Carter Standard, requiring airlines to prove they treat passengers equally, Marcus became a youth advisor for the commission. And one day, walking through the airport on our way to a meeting in D.C., we noticed every airline employee wearing a small pin with scales of justice on it. Marcus looked at me and asked, "Do you think we really changed anything?" I looked around at the boarding gate, passengers of every race getting checked in without a second glance, staff greeting everyone the same. Not perfection, I said, but progress. We took our seats first class. No questions asked. He opened a notebook and started scribbling ideas for his next project. I peeked over his shoulder. It was a children's book about courage, justice, and standing up even when your knees shake. So now I'll ask you, if you were in our place, would you have taken the money and walked away or fought to the end? And how many times have you seen rules applied differently just because of who someone is? Drop your thoughts below. I'm listening.